because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is Joe Pugh for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted as ever to be joined by the WBC President, Mr. Mauricio Sulaiman. First of all, how are you, sir?
I'm very, very well. How about yourself?
Always better for seeing you, Mauricio. It's been a fantastic lunch here, as ever, with yourself and your hospitality. And fantastic to have Jamie Moore, Chantel Cameron and Michael Watson amongst our presence.
Yes, it has been a special day here in London. Just to be here in the home of boxing is special, with friends and family, and just cannot be more happy than what I am today.
The last time I spoke to you was out in Saudi Arabia for Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury, which was a very different boxing event to which we're used to covering. But on a personal level, how have you been since then?
I have been well. I've been trying to keep up with the WBC walk. Not so easy with so much travel and difficult schedule. But everyone needs to find the time to take care of themselves, exercise, live a healthy life. And you cannot have excuses for work or others. So that's my goal, to continue walking and making the best out of my life every day.
I just want to ask you about the belt that you presented to Jamie Moore today, and a fantastic story about Angelo Dundee and the towel.
Yes, my father had a dream of finding how to recognize and to award the trainers. Because the trainer sacrifices so much. He devotes their life to their boxers that come into the ring. They become father figures. They train them, they teach them, they strategize. Then when success comes, everything changes, because the fighter is the one that gets the recognition, the fame, the glory, and the money. And the trainer many times is just in backstage, just enjoying from apart. But we created the trainer's belt for anyone who crowns a WBC champion. Chantel is a proud WBC champion. Jamie Moore crowned her. So it's a towel belt based on Angelo Dundee inspiration. It was a very special moment today.
It certainly was. And I want to start off with some really positives in boxing right now. And no more being than the announcement of Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. As a boxing fan yourself and as representing the WBC, how pleased are you to finally get this fight over the line for all the belts, and it's been spoken about for so long?
Leonard Hearns of the modern era. What a great fight, welterweight fight. I cannot wait for July 29. It's going to be magical. Both undefeated fighters, champions for all the marbles going into, and it's just a tremendous event that it will go on to be one of the greatest fights of the era.
And how difficult is it to get these fights over the line from your perspective? Because we all want super fights. I know you want it, I certainly do. But we're starting to see more and more of them. So what's changed over the past couple of years?
Well, I believe the pandemic brought a urgent sense to everyone to do everything possible to make things in life, to make the best fights happen, regardless of the networks and promoters and managers, their egos and their presentations. Now it's happening. I'm very proud and thankful for them to put down the hatchet, bury the hatchet, sit down and negotiate and make it happen.
Around the table over lunch today, we were speaking about the heavyweights, as we so often do. We were speaking about Saudi Arabia, but first of all, I just want to ask you about the WBC champion, Tyson Fury. A lot has been spoke about him over the past week or so. When can we expect to see a mandatory called, and do you believe that his next fight will be against the mandatory challenger?
What I just described is not happening in the heavyweights. There's so many great fights that could take place. Instead of that, we're getting just a terrible abuse of position overpricing the fights, overpricing the expectations. Tyson Fury is the WBC heavyweight champion. He's the best heavyweight in the world. He's willing to fight anyone, and the fights have not been happening. So we have left all the flexibility to try to make Fury against Usyk, to try to make such a important fight. We ordered Wilder against Reese. There's no signs of that fight happening, so we must start taking action and make some rulings at this time.
Why do you believe the Wilder-Ruiz fight hasn't happened of yet, or isn't in kind of discussions?
I don't know. I've been led to believe that they're willing to fight and they will negotiate, but it's just everything is on the limbo right now. So we have to start taking some control of the division and our champion.
Last week, Frank Warren said that he would be speaking to yourself about where the land lies with Tyson Fury and a mandatory challenger. Have you had that conversation, and has there been any resolution?
Well, the WBC is evaluating. We're contacting the camps of Wilder and Reese. That was an official WBC order, so we're waiting for that situation. If not, then we have to move on and address it differently.
And all this speak of a heavyweight tournament in Saudi Arabia for December, what are your stances on this? And do you believe that fighters should wait for their fight in December, or should, more importantly, Tyson Fury, because that's a WBC matter, have a fight before that date in December?
I don't know. We're not promoters. We have not been officially approached for anything. So we ordered Wilder Ruiz as a final elimination. Right now we don't have a mandatory. So Fury can do whatever he likes within the top 15. And that's the situation. So we'll see.
Certainly. Take you back a couple of weeks. Devin Haney versus Vasily Lomachenko. A fantastic fight, I'm sure you agree, with a controversial ending. Just what did you make of how that whole scenario played out?
Unbelievable fight. Very proud of both of them. Proud of Haney for proving at the level that he is, for shutting the mouths of the so many who criticize him for the last 4 years. Very proud of Lomachenko, who performed in a great way after having lost to Lopez, after having a mediocre outing in the last fight, and he just had a tremendous fight. Could have gone either way, could have been a draw. No robbery, no rubbish about anything. It was a great fight. When you have a great fight that is close, can be controversial, but in no way I would criticize the result. Absolutely not. It was a great fight. I'm proud of both. I'm proud of Haney, our champion. He is a champion, defending champion. So there's so many things that can happen. A rematch, Shakur Stevenson, weight categories. There's a future ahead.
You've kept Vasily Lomachenko high up in the rankings. Shakur Stevenson's also up there as well. Are you hoping to see a rematch between Lomachenko and Haney with it being shown in the ratings?
Shakur Stevenson is a WBC mandatory contender. Okay. So that is the next fight in order. Of course, other fights can be made if there's agreement from the parties. But at this time, Shakur Stevenson is a mandatory.
I want to ask you about Canelo, someone you're very close to. I'm sure he represented you as a WBC champion for a very, very long time now. And you made some comments about Dimitri Bivol. If that fight was to happen at super middleweight for all 4 titles, he would have to go through a process. I understand that's what you were saying?
The WBC has a veto on Russia and Belarus, which does not allow any WBC fights to take place in those countries or any fighters from that country fighting for WBC titles. We have a process in which cases can be reviewed, addressed, and voted on. We never receive anything from Bivol, so at this time we cannot sanction a fight involving Dimitri Bivol.
Is there still time for Dimitri Bivol to go through this due process with the WBC?
I don't know. I don't know. I simply can only say what is the current situation. The WBC supports peace. Russia is the aggressor of an invasion of a country, and that is the position of the world, not my position, is the voice of the whole boxing world.
If that fight doesn't happen, another fight that's been spoken about is Canelo versus Benavidez. Is that a fight you would welcome?
Yeah, Benavidez is a WBC mandatory contender. He has won the WBC super middleweight 3 times, has lost it twice outside of the ring. He's proven to be ready for Canelo, so that would be a sensational fight.
When would you mandate that fight if it weren't next?
At this moment, we have not set the date of the mandate. We allowed Canelo to do the May 6th fight. It's only almost 1 month ago, so we're going to be addressing that matter in the coming days.
Last one, in a couple of weeks' time, you got another WBC champion out, Regis Prograis. How important is it for him to get this first fight of Matchroom and push on for some really big fights?
Well, he's a great champion. Second time he's coming around. He's a proud WBC super lightweight champion, and he's going to do a voluntary defense. Then they have commitments because he won a vacant title, so we'll be addressing that matter soon.
Excellent, Mauricio. Is there anything else you'd like to mention? What's going on with the WBC? Any news updates?
Well, we are celebrating 60 years of existence, many activity around the world. Inoue, Fulton in Japan, Ryan Garcia with Tank in Las Vegas, Haney, Lomachenko was great. Now Spence, Crawford coming up, the heavyweights, there's so much activity, women's boxing. It's a lot of work, a lot of great moments, and we're very happy to be moving so strong forward.
Mauricio, thank you very much for your hospitality as ever, and fantastic to see you today, and hopefully speak to you again soon.
Absolutely, same to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Because I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,